everybody? Welcome back to the Youtini Show, your one-stop shop for everything going on in Star Wars. I'm Eric here tonight with Corey and Wes, and tonight we're going to talk about Han Solo returning in a brand new comic. Andor is looking to break an Emmys record, and Star Wars Unlimited has officially taken over Youtini. But starting us off tonight, as I said, is Han Solo. This September, our favorite smuggler is returning in a brand new comic miniseries called Han Solo Hunt for the Falcon from writer Rodney Barnes and artist Ramon Rosanas. As the title suggests, the series will take an older Han through a series of adventures alongside Chewbacca as they attempt to reclaim the iconic Millennium Falcon. Now, fellas, we've been asking for stories between episodes 6 and 7 for quite a while now, so how do we think this will kind of scratch that itch?
That's a good question, actually. That is a great question. I'm personally pretty stoked for this entire concept. I love it when we have touch points with the films. I've always loved that. That's like what got me into Star Wars books in the first place. That is what the expanded universe is all about.
Easy.
I will still die on this hill that the EU is a better name for all the books and comics.
Yes, it's a great name.
I don't know why. I'm not really sure who arbitrarily decided that the EU meant legends. That's really stupid to me. I wish, in fact, it wasn't even clarified until very far into Youtini's development. This has been a hotly debated topic for a long time at Youtini.
Yeah. We called everything the EU, and there was Canon EU and Legends EU, and then we kind of vaguely figured out that no, Legends is the EU. Yeah. And we just kind of slowly, I don't know if anybody watching or listening was around the Youtini at that time, you noticed the wording on the site just kind of slowly began to change.
Well, they did in fact confirm it. Like the publishing teams did. They confirmed it and started using the language like that on all of their materials, which was smart in my opinion. They should have done that earlier, but yeah, we'd have to change it. Anyway, derailing things. Han Solo, Hunt for the Falcon. Wes, want to get your thoughts?
Well, let me ask you this: Who had the Millennium Falcon at the end of Return of the Jedi? Was it
Han Solo?
Han Solo. So then people are only watching the movies, and they notice that when they see Episode 7, they're like, "Hold on a second. Why is that? Why is the Millennium Falcon out there by itself? Where's Han Solo at?" So then you have, like you said, the touch points in the movie, but you can say like, "Hey, there's got to be some stories there." What happened between that? I'm not sure it's going to be, completely fleshed out in the comic, but there is books about it, right? But they're not canon.
Well, so there's books. There's canon of this. So there's the Star Wars Adventures comic that shows us Duquesne, because Harrison Ford has that great little thing like where he's like, who'd you get it from? Duquesne? And then she's like, no, Uncle Pled, who got it from the Irving boys, who got it from Duquesne or whatever. So there's like a brief little
It was
throwaway.
Good. One of the brief moments of exposition that I actually totally agree with in the script. Yeah, it was a great moment.
Really fun. And I'm like, and I do remember like on one of my rewatches, not the first rewatch, obviously, because I was just crying because Harrison Ford was back on screen. But like eventually, once you watch it 6 or 7 times, that line comes up and you're like, I wonder what that looked like. Like it is like, I feel like we get some comic series where I'm like, okay, someone had an idea and they want to make that. That's fine. And sometimes they're really good. Sometimes they just pass. This is a comic. When it came out, I was like, God, good. I want to see that. I actually want to see Han Solo going through the galaxy with Chewbacca, looking for Duquesne, trying to figure out where's the Millennium Falcon. Like, that's a really fun, it's a fun concept. And I'll be honest, y'all, I like the older Han character. We haven't seen him that much. Like, we got Aftermath with like immediate post Return of the Jedi Han, Bloodline, the Claudia Gray novel gave us like a brief Han, but like I want to see this. It seems like it'll probably be maybe post him and Leia's separation, like post Ben's leaving. Like, I think there's a very interesting story here of Han starting to run away from his life. In order to do that, maybe he's trying to find the Falcon again. And all right, with the right writer, I think this could be really kind of touching.
It could be fun.
Yeah,
it could be fun.
Kind of running after the one thing that made him feel like somebody, and that's just the Falcon. Yeah.
I would like to eventually see the whole story about like the royalty, like and that's been touched on I think somewhere. Now that I'm thinking of saying it out loud, but like there's like some royalty that he was he captured the creatures for in stuff.
Oh, the Rathars. Yeah.
The Rathars. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm hauling Rathars.
Although as I say that, I feel like that is actually maybe explained somewhere. Am I crazy for thinking that? Does that sound familiar?
I do believe it is. As you say it, I can't pinpoint which one it is, but it does sound like something we have seen.
Something about like some king or something like hired him to get the
haul Rathars. Yes. Yep.
That's definitely not in
somewhere.
Not in the film, but that is somewhere. I don't know.
Somewhere.
Somebody can tell us how stupid we are in the comments. I'm sure.
Yeah.
So.
But please feel free as always. But yeah, we got the cover art for these two. We got Han. We got an old Lando who's looking interesting. I'm gonna say we'll see how that turns out. Then we got Chewbacca and Duquesne. And it is confirmed a miniseries. Like it's gonna be 5 issues, and I kind of don't mind that either. I feel like Marvel's getting a little better with that, being like, hey, if we have a small section of story, we'll just do 5 issues here, 5 issues there. I believe these are the creators that did the Inquisitors comic last year, which similarly was about 5 or 6 issues. What do you guys think about the miniseries format? Because obviously we have our super long 50-issue runs and stuff like that, but do you like minis? Do you just like wait for trades? Like, what do you think about doing that?
I always rather read trades personally if I'm going to read a story like this. However, interestingly, like I don't know, I have mixed feelings about this actually because this type of story is one that's perfect for a miniseries, which so like that format works really well because you have a couple issues. It's already a standard like format of like a 5 comic series, for example. However, the problem with miniseries, in my opinion, is that they're really easy to retcon, and that makes them a little problematic because there have been a number of miniseries that have been retconned throughout canon history, and like every time I see a miniseries come out, like on one hand I'm excited that this story is being told. On the other hand, I'm like kind of rolling my eyes a little bit because I'm like, I wonder how long it'll take for this story to be just overwritten.
Yeah,
because. It's happened a few times.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting, too, because I feel like the retcon, there's like a hierarchy of retconning, right? It's like a movie can retcon anything, then a TV show can retcon anything lower, and then like a book, and then like anything that's a more important medium can retcon it. Harrison Ford ain't coming back to do any more old Han Solo, so I feel like we're safe from that. Like at least retconning this. But I think it's interesting as a concept because now that I think about it, we know that the hunt for the Falcon will fail, right? Like he doesn't get the Falcon. So that'll be interesting from a writing perspective of how do you write that he's hunting and searching for this Falcon. We know Unkar Plutt has it on Jakku. Like we know it's just lying under that tarp, right? In Nema Outpost or whatever. So how do we keep the stakes, which I guess is Star Wars as a whole. Like we know a lot of stuff sometimes. Like what do you guys think they're going to be able to do in this series to keep it at least high tension while knowing it's not going to work?
Maybe they do find the Falcon. Maybe like all right. So correct me if I'm wrong, but like it's not really explained why Han and Chewie are in Jedha space, right? Or not Jedha, Jakku space. Like that is not really explained.
Right.
Why they're there.
Yeah, they're just hauling the Rathars.
Yeah, they just show up.
Yeah.
So maybe in the last issue, Lando is like, I don't want anything to do with this Rathar business. I'm out. I'll see you later. I'm sorry I couldn't help you. And he's like, and then they're like, I just got a good feeling that we should swing by Jakku, and that's the end of the comic.
That could be cool. I
they
like
just swing
the idea
by,
of them going to Jakku, or at least hitting the hyperspace, and it goes like off to Jakku. Like that's really fun. I love the book ending of that. Like when Cassian flies off towards the rings of Kafrene at the end of Andor. Like that's very Star Wars.
It doesn't make a lot of sense that like Han is doing this job and has this freighter full of monster creatures and no crew and is just in the vicinity of when they show up with the Falcon. It's a pretty wild coincidence.
I think every issue should end with them and just at a finger's touch the Millennium Falcon and then just like hits hyperspeed and it's gone, right? It hits light speed and it's out of here. And so they see it and they're just chasing it until the very end, like you said, however it happens. But the king that you were talking about, it was King Prana, Grevoth Prana the Ninth.
All right, this had
the ninth. Right.
Of course, the ninth.
I was in the seventh, man.
Does it reference? Does it reference where this is? Where the story is?
It doesn't. No, it doesn't. The only thing that says it comes from like a data. Yeah, it said it comes from like a database.
What's his name? King
Prana. Prana.
King Prana. Yep. Force Awakens novelization mentioned.
Yeah. It's in the novelization. Okay.
Yep, that's it.
Interesting.
So,
okay.
Man.
Novelization.
We didn't actually get anything outside.
Also,
of the
maybe the visual dictionary.
Yeah,
maybe the visual dictionary had that too.
About that too, but I don't know. Yeah, that does ring a bell. Did you guys ever read? Kind of related. Did you guys ever read the Legends book called Millennium Falcon?
It's on the shelf.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
Wes, have you ever seen this?
I don't think so.
You should see if you can find this and pull this up and put it on the screen.
It's a Luceno book.
It is a James Luceno book, which does not surprise me that it is one of my favorites because I love everything that James Luceno has ever written. We've talked about this many moons ago, back when we used to be a book show. That's crazy.
Yeah.
How many episodes are we at now? 57. We're over a year into not book episodes, which is crazy.
That's right.
It's been probably 2 years. But Millennium Falcon, James Luceno, is a very interesting Legends book. It was published very much near the end of the Legends EU era, like 2013 or something when it was published. And the book sort of chronicles everybody who's ever owned the Falcon, and it tells it in like reverse order, if I remember correctly. Yeah. So like you always I can't remember if it's forward order or it's reverse order. I can't remember, but you always like meet the person. Yeah, there you go. Millennium Falcon. You always meet the person in the current story. You meet the person who used to own the Falcon, and then it goes and tells his story in the next chapter. And it's very fascinating.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah, it starts with the Solo children, right?
It starts with Jason Solo, who became a Sith Lord. Spoiler alert. Had a child basically out of wedlock with the queen of the Hylian Way or something. There's like the Do you remember the game, the old RTS game where you could play in space? Do you remember that? Empire at War. That's what it's called. Empire at War. There's like an expansion pack for Empire at War that adds this faction to the game, and that is the faction in Legends that I think, if I remember correctly, that Jason had like an affair with their queen. And they had a child, and Han and Leia basically raised the child to keep it secret from Jason, which doesn't make any sense actually. But to keep it a secret, it got so complicated and messy. So anyway, the framing of the story is the little girl she loves the Falcon. It's like her favorite thing. So like to distract her from the horrors of the galaxy and the hell that Jason, he's dead now. The hell that Jason there's a lot going on in this story. Yes, that wreaked on the galaxy. Her father, the Sith Lord, did all this horrible shit. To distract her from all of that, after that all went down, they decided to go in this sort of heartwarming adventure to figure out the history of the Falcon. So they're finding out together. Han and this little girl are, and it's a really excellent framing.
This is a good pitch, dog. I'm not gonna lie. You're doing a pretty good job.
I know.
I'm gonna read this book.
It's a great framing of the story, and of all the single reader Legends books, it really stands out in my mind as being one that I particularly loved. And I forgot that Luceno wrote that, but that does make sense. Luceno is amazing at doing the Brandon Sanderson thing, which is to put all these little feelers throughout the entire story that you don't realize are feelers, that it all starts to come together towards the end of the book. And this book has that sensation with the Falcon. Wow. And it's a beautiful integration of stuff that you've noticed about the Falcon in the movies that you didn't really know that you noticed. The turret looks a certain way, the dish is a certain shape.
The rectangle versus the circle dish.
Exactly.
That's huge.
All that
Big in Lego sets, honestly.
Those little details are explained in the story, and it makes it fun because if you're a super nerd and you've watched the original trilogy, you're like, oh, I recognize that with the meme with DiCaprio on the shelf on the sofa. Yeah. Anyway,
Whoa.
That is really rad. And so I don't think we're gonna get that necessarily.
There's a hardcover.
Oh yeah, there's a think I actually got it on the hardcover.
Really?
Somewhere. I'm looking around. I'm trying to remember.
Millennium Falcon. Yeah, Legends books that we should check out. I wonder if there's an audiobook. I kind of wouldn't be surprised if there's not.
Yeah.
Is there?
Mark Thompson reads it.
No way.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That'd be one of his first.
When I was looking up the images, I saw that, it's read by Mark Thompson.
Sick.
That's pretty solid.
Well,
I might have to pick that up on
bar
Audible and
Unabridged.
Wow.
to it.
It better be.
Hell yeah. Millennium Falcon book, Goodreads. Let's see what the rating is on Goodreads out of curiosity.
Yeah.
Ooh,
by the way,
3.8.
Well, I mean, for Star Wars books though, that's
that good?
It's not average. I think there's a. I mean, well, let's put it this way: Trials of the Jedi is currently at a 4.6, which is very solid. But I think there's some like
the Fate of the Jedi series are all basically that, and everyone hates those. So.
Yeah, I mean, Mask of Fear is a 4.04, and that's.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Okay.
So I don't know. Goodreads goes back and forth.
Dynasty of Evil, Darth Bane Dynasty of Evil, which is the second one.
Third
one is a 4.3, which is the weakest.
Well, that's correct
in my opinion.
But still great. Goodreads,
Anyway,
though.
Might be remembering this with rose-colored glasses. But that's
what did they give the first one?
About.
What did they give the first one?
We got Path of Destruction.
Yeah. What did they give?
What do we
Path
got?
of Destruction?
What do we got?
Look it up. Just got
Dynasty of Evil.
Ruin the show.
What's the first one called?
Path of Destruction.
Path of Destruction.
Path of Destruction.
Here
It's the
it is. 4.3 also. 4.34. Was incorrect.
How high does it go up to? 4.4?
11?
4.4. 4.35 actually.
That's the highest that it goes. It's basically perfect, man. No, I'm excited about this. I hope we get a little bit of that. I wonder if like there's gonna be flashbacks to like Han and Chewie's adventures on the Falcon. I really want some heartstring stuff with this. Like, yes, I want adventures, but like those stories in that book are like of what the Falcon means to them. And is it going to be like Han remembering showing Ben around the Falcon for the first time? Like, I feel like there's a lot of good young Ben Solo potential in this comic to have that kind of like legacy aspect to it.
I think he's too old. Based on the cover art, I think this is right before Force Awakens.
Oh no, I want flashbacks. I want him. As they're looking for it, he's like, don't you remember like in those comic panels where he just looks off in the distance and all of a sudden it's him as a young one with like the colors are different, so it's
like
him
the Padme in the Darth Vader comic. Yeah,
exactly.
That was a great.
That's what I want. That's what I want from this. But it also might just be rootin' tootin' galaxy riding about, shooting, having fun. But it comes out in September, so keep an eye out. And of course, our friends in the Cosmic Force will be covering it week to week.
When you say miniseries, how many are we thinking?
5.
Only 5?
It's confirmed.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yep. 9/3.
Yep. September 3rd. So get your pre-orders in probably soonish because the previews just came out. But keep an eye out, and our friends in the Cosmic Force will keep you updated. And we'll have reviews on the site. If you don't know, on Youtini.com, every Wednesday we have reviews for every comic that comes out every single week. Before we get going any further, though, we want to take a quick second to let you know that this episode is brought to you by The United, the official Youtini community. Now, by joining The United, you'll not only receive ad-free shows and exclusive merch drops, you'll get unlimited access to our Discord, full of enthusiastic Star Wars fans that want nothing more than to welcome you. Filled with daily conversations and monthly events, The United is powered by a community of intentional positivity, and that makes it the best place for you to celebrate your fandom and engage with fans who love everything you do the way that you do. Now, by heading today to youtini.com/community, you can sign up for a whole year of The United and save 15% when you use code UTiniShow. That is code UTiniShow, 15% off your first year of The United. So head on over now and get signed up to check out all of our amazing events and connect with your favorite podcast hosts. And thank you to everyone at The United for your everlasting support. And now, back to the show. Now, it would not be a Youtini show if we didn't mention Andor in some way, right? Because this week, Variety got into the awards season spirit by looking ahead at the potential Emmy nominees, which will be announced next month. There are a ton of amazing shows that look to be gaining momentum, but high among them looks to be Andor. Based on current projections, there is a possibility the show could break the Mandalorian single-season record for nominations for Star Wars shows with 24, further cementing its legacy as the best Star Wars series of all time. Now, guys, we have briefly touched on this before, but if Andor actually gets over 20 Emmy nominations in a pretty competitive year, again, this is not a COVID lockout year or anything, what does this do to shape the public's perception of Star Wars storytelling? Do we actually start getting the respect that we deserve outside the Star Wars sphere, if you will?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. I think Andor is the only Star Wars product that's ever been created that could possibly earn that respect, to be frank.
I think I'm with you.
With legitimate competition, right? With legitimate competition against him. So, yeah. And on top of that, like 24 nominations is incredible. What's gotten more than 24 nominations that's in recent years?
Not many. I looked around and they didn't have, of course, the title of the article was like 24 for Mandalorian, and it didn't have a lot of the other ones. I'm assuming there's some other ones that have gotten like, upwards of 30 or something like that. But Star Wars is big because a lot of those are also creative Emmys. So it's like prosthetics, stunts, like, which is great. But it's all valid, right? But like action shows get that. But they only have one acting nominee, which is Giancarlo Esposito for Moff Gideon in season 2. He got like a guest actor or supporting actor. And people are saying right now, like Diego Luna could be a lead actor, which would be huge. Which, by the way, he and Pedro Pascal both got nominated.
Totally.
That would be the first time that 2 Latino guys ever got nominated for lead actor in the same year. Could be huge for him. But also look at people like Genevieve O'Reilly, Stellan Skarsgård, Elizabeth Clea. She's getting a lot of heat now for season 2. Like, I think
maybe if there's a category for like not amateur actor, but like new
breakout star, right?
Rookie of the year.
Dude, there should be. There's not, weirdly enough, but there absolutely should be, which is ridiculous.
Most improved.
Your last show was absolutely terrible.
That's such a backhanded comment. I got most improved player in softball one year, and I thought that was great until it took me a year to be like, oh, I was bad.
Wait a minute.
I was bad.
Wait a minute. They hated me.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think everybody's gonna be like, what the hell was I doing? Why wasn't I watching this show? And you're going to get a lot of people to go back because if they see a bunch of Emmy nominations and they see not just nominations, but like hopefully some wins, then they're going to go back and you're going to see those numbers, jump up on Disney Plus, hopefully.
Yeah.
And what a audition, if you want to call it that, for Diego Luna to get that leading role, right? Like, this would be fantastic.
He keeps talking about it, and like it's been really heartwarming if to follow his interviews. He actually apparently was on Conan O'Brien's podcast today, which I still have to listen to. But he was invited to the Hollywood Reporter actor roundtables, like all this kind of stuff, and like he's made a really big deal out of like before Star Wars, I was only offered like drug dealers. Was it the only parts he could get? And now like he's literally changing what is possible, not only for him, but like for a lot of Mexican actors in U.S. shows. Like he's kind of changed the landscape while also doing something that he loves. He loves Cassian so much, and I would
like to see that. I would like to see him nominated. Honestly, I mean, he's a very serious character and a very serious actor. It's very believable. Like it has the right formula for getting getting nominated, in my opinion.
Yeah. I think they should also include the very beginning scene of Rogue One where he shoots
as part of his Emmy package.
Like it works so well with the show. Like that first 10 minutes.
I mean, I think one of the gifs I keep seeing going around are of him. It's in the Gorman. I think it's him flying away from Gorman, and he's looking out. He's kind of almost blank, and his face is dirty, and there's just like a single tear going down as he's realizing that he couldn't stop a massacre. And it's just like, again, it's so silent, which is not Star Wars. Like Star Wars doesn't have a lot of those quiet, but you know what does? Prestige television. Like it is those silent moments of reflection that the Academy really loves.
It has all the right variables. It was incredibly expensive per episode. I just Googled it. Roughly $27 million per episode is what they spend. To put that into context, Game of Thrones was somewhere between $6 to $15 million per episode. So like this is literally double
garbage.
Literally double the price of Game of Thrones, which is wild to say. And that show was nominated for everything. Unbelievable number of nominations. So it has the right formula. I would love to see that. That would be sick.
Yeah, and I also think there's an interesting conversation to be had because Andor is done, and I think there's not like, oh well, we'll bring it back for like They brilliantly did the thing and finished it. But I can't help but thinking, if Andor Season 2 breaks the record for the most Emmy nominations in the history of Star Wars and brings out the most, after breaking the Nielsen ratings, #1, like it's doing all this stuff, they're putting this whole thing behind it. What does Kathleen Kennedy say to Tony Gilroy? Because he has said he wants to go do his own project, and that's great. What is that phone call, though, where she's like, Tony, listen.
Check.
Because they were basically, they gave Favreau a movie. They gave Filoni a series. And, like, after they got their Emmys, like...
Does Gilroy have producer credits on film? Does he do that? Does he produce movies?
He does a little bit of everything, yeah. He's mostly a writer, but he has been... I mean, he produced Andor, obviously, but I think some of the Bourne movies by the end he was producing as well.
So hear me out. If TV is not dead, let's just, for the sake of argument, let's presume that Star Wars streaming is not dead.
Absolutely.
Maybe the success of this show, it sweeps with Emmys. And not only does it get nominated for everything, it wins a ton of shit, right?
Yep.
The show is one of the most
everybody.
one of the most watched shows of the year. It blows everybody away. The executives realize, holy shit, Star Wars can actually like win awards and do well
Disney
with it.
Plus subscriptions rocket.
Yes,
so like
they
actually get money. Yes.
Yep, they actually get money.
Yep.
Kathleen Kennedy calls up Tony Gilroy and says, Tony, I know that you don't want to do any more Star Wars, but just hear me out. We want you to help produce this new wing of Lucasfilm that is Prestige TV. And
Corey,
it's one project every 3 to 5 years.
Corey,
and it's the Prestige TV wing of Lucasfilm. And they start trying to produce very adult, very serious, very high budget products for this purpose, to generate streaming dollars and to win awards, because that is what everybody is chasing, actually.
I think that is a fantastic idea, and this is the only one you've ever had. Just this.
This really all your ideas have led to this idea. That is
so. That being said, from the gut, give me a decent pitch for a Prestige TV show, a Star Wars Prestige show.
Okay, from the guy, like an actual like Andor quality show.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I don't know if it can have lightsabers in it. Just like
no, I don't think it can. For Prestige, I'm saying no. I think that we're okay. It's I got one off the dome.
Okay.
It's gonna star a named character as well, I think. But there's gonna be a recast. I think what we do, it is a two-hander of a Mon Mothma, Leia, New Republic political drama in the vein of the West Wing, but a little more gritty as the First Order terrorist cells begin to rise around the galaxy. It is witnessing not the rise of a rebellion, but the complete destruction of a government. And it is the years into building the resistance and kind of draining into finding terror attacks, trying to have these bills pass, having what the two. We finally figure out what the napkin was about in Bloodline, and like it's the populists and whatever, the centrists. We get to see the assassination of Panaka. And
there's
there's
the underlying threat of the First Order, which you can sense is happening, and the pieces are starting to come together, and they're starting to see it. And the show ends with the destruction of the of the New Republic.
Yep.
They get close, and then suddenly the First Order reveals themselves.
And she keeps having to. Ben is gone, and she is dealing with either like tremors or PTSD or something about a loss of a child. So she's having to deal. So we're recasting Leia as a wonderful actress, like maybe a younger Kathy Bates or something. And Genevieve O'Reilly can be in it as well. That might be too much of a lateral, but that's the show. It's Leia trying to hold the government together and failing.
And we haven't seen her in live action, obviously, but we haven't really had a lot of her in the Senate. Or on Coruscant. I mean, we've seen a little bit in Rebels, very, very little bit in Rebels.
I mean, just Bloodline, literally. That's like that book had so much potential, and I again, with all the love in my heart, they did nothing with it. So I think this is what you do, and you get again creators. I mean, I didn't really know who Tony Gilroy was much before this, so I have no idea. You get someone who is really good at political, like maybe one of those.
Who worked on what's the White House show? what was it called?
West Wing.
West Wing?
I mean,
no, not West Wing. Older than West Wing.
Older than West Wing?
I think so. Maybe I am thinking of West Wing.
This was the 90s, 2000s.
Hold on.
With Martin Sheen as the president?
No, not the West Wing.
Okay. I think you actually studied for this test before you answered it, Eric. That wasn't fair. Like off the top of your head, and you just like gave this
House of Cards. House of Cards.
Oh, that's after West Wing.
Yeah.
You know,
West Wing's older than I thought it was. I forgot.
You know who wrote on House of Cards?
Who?
Bo Willimon, who wrote on Andor.
There you go.
Really?
There you go. Yeah.
Bring Bo back. Solid. Maybe Bo. Okay, maybe he show runs that. After Dawn of the Jedi's done, he actually becomes the new Tony Gilroy, and then show runs.
And they've already worked together.
It's too easy.
Kathy, free idea. Free idea.
It writes itself. It writes itself. All right, Wes.
Sue you for
or 1313 off the top of my head. Just do 1313.
Oh,
yeah, but not the buddy cop drama that you want, Corey. I can't put like pinpoint what the
like
actors. Yeah, something that has to do with the underworld. Like not really underworld, but like the lower levels of Coruscant. Because you can like. I wouldn't say you could put that on set, but you could find some grungy places in various downtown cities and just use that as part of it.
Now, is it the cops on 1313 or like the criminal? Because are you finding people on like spice overdoses, like dead bodies that we're like finding, like Breaking Bad stuff, or?
Oh, a Breaking Bad where they're
the spice trade.
Yeah, where they're like they find a couple that's like
I have it. I know what the perfect.
Right,
I know what the perfect edition. The show is called 1313.
Yes,
but it ties into the criminal underworld in Star Wars. It ties into Crimson Dawn. It ties into
give us a launching point for
the Hutts. Yeah, some of that stuff. But it's not like the major players, right? It's not like there's like Kira is not in it. Maul is not in it.
Yeah, keep that out.
Like it's before that. It's before all that. Way. It's like pre-Clone Wars, like criminal underworld, like type of stuff.
Yeah.
Like they're running from the Jedi. The Jedi don't really want enough to do with it because it's below their pay grade. That's the show.
I could get the actors like Stellan Skarsgård was a brand new character, and Luthen Rail is one of the coolest characters in the history of Star Wars. Connor Williams in our chat has a pitch here. What do we got? We got a show akin to Sons of Anarchy or Gangs of London about the bounty hunter guilds. Absolutely.
That could be solid.
Set in the prequel era. Yep. And the plot revolves around Hunter and his target.
That was all rich. The Bounty Hunter Wars. Do you guys read those Legends books? Man, this is a Legends reference.
Well, and
every
I think
episode.
it's tough because we do
they have the best stories.
But we have the Mandalorian, which is kind of
it's kind of that.
The bounty bounty hunters in Star Wars I think are tough because we're getting to a place where bounty hunters are becoming synonymous with the Hearts of Gold thing.
Yeah.
That like even Aura Singh in Clone Wars like still protected Boba and stuff. But I like the criminal underworld battle of it all. And like maybe there's an undercover cop that's like The Departed maybe. Ooh, The Departed in Star Wars. So one is a gang member that is with the Coruscant police, and one's a Coruscant police member that's with the underworld. And they're trying to basically find each other.
That could work.
Yeah. Never mind. Sorry. Just do The Departed. I just want The Departed. Sorry.
That's a solid one. All right. My gut Prestige TV Star Wars pitch is the rise of Palpatine. In his entire life, basically like bits and pieces from things that were included in the Plagueis book, but I think you should retcon the entire Plagueis book as much as I love that book. It's a fantastic book, but just retcon it all. Let's tell it all.
Yep. Fine.
Let's make it. Let's
open highway. Go for it.
Yes. But as opposed to Plagueis, I don't want the show to be all about like the Force, like trying to create life. I think you should leave all that out. I think this is Palpatine occasionally sees and meets with Plagueis, who is sort of like helping him in his political career, but it's all about the lying, cheating, stealing, absolute cutthroat that Palpatine had to be behind the scenes to rise into power. Mas Amedda could be a major character in it. That would be solid. All those little creepy dudes with the purple robes and stuff could all be in it.
I think we also add an aide, like a Clea type character who's like a brand new character who's like a young woman that's kind of like doing some of his bidding. Again, like aliens are great, but we're gonna have to add some weird human characters with him that can be accessible to the large majority of your audience. Because I think even though Andor added more aliens in season 2, I think we realized there might be a secret sauce with aliens existing, but not really being main characters.
Yeah, yeah, I think
You know what I mean?
I think that's very true. I think you can't get past that in live action, which is unfortunate about Plagueis a little bit. I think.
Oh, you could easily do it. You could just put a spot somewhere on their cheek or their face, like they did in Star Trek. There's a lot of characters in Star Trek that look just like humans and just had one thing that was off
it's
about
an alien.
it. Yeah,
like, Data is just very pale. That's it.
Yeah,
they're like we need somebody that's really synonymous with computer nerds. What can we do? Make him pale.
He doesn't go outside.
But also Palpatine, like, because of the duplicitous life, he could have a lot of solo scenes. Like that Palpatine actor would have to be so. Again, it's kind of like a Bryan Cranston and Breaking Bad thing, where like he's the only one that actually knows what he's doing the entire time. A lot of solo scenes in the dark in his chambers. Maybe you do an inner monologue show. Like, do you break the fourth wall? Does he break the fourth wall like House of Cards and talk to the audience through the camera about his machinations?
Maybe so. I that could work though. That could work, but it has to be done right. That is dangerously close to the sun, like with like the Force and Plagueis is creating life and Anakin, that sort of shit. Like it runs the risk of getting derailed a little bit.
Having Palpatine as the main character is risky too, because that is a like specific main character that is within all the movies for sure.
Like Cassian wasn't even the main character in his own movie, and that's why it worked. So like, but I think we're all going towards like what makes these shows work in the new wing of prestige Lucasfilm, which I'm absolutely all about now, is they are ensemble shows about the politics or the crime or like the day-to-day kind of horrors of life, which we're not broadcasting at all about our life right now. But it's like, it's not the heroes or the 200 Jedi in the temple that are walking around thinking about, it's about like, what's the next move I take? How do I corrupt this person? Does Palpatine get a blackmail thing about a senator the second before he walks in? He put the picture of his wife in front of him and asks him about a bill. Like, it's this kind of chilling stuff.
What happened to your parents? No, they left. What's the truth? I was like, I didn't want to do that.
All right. Tony Gilroy becomes the head of Prestige Television.
I love that. That could be great. That could be great. I honestly think the smaller the scale, the better it works. Like I think all of our ideas could be too great in a lot of ways. Actually, and I think that's unfortunately where our heads go. We're so trained to think about how do we move forward the hero saga in Star Wars. That's our gut. I feel like reaction, but like I'm sure there's more and interesting ways to kind of deal with.
After we went through the scenarios, now you have to be convinced that this is actually going to happen. That we're going to have a prestige show. Like we're talking about like
one
this
is
has already been
be?
This has already been greenlit, and now we're going to figure out what the show's going to be.
I mean, if in all seriousness, if Andor wins a bunch of awards, like they would be crazy not to consider trying something like this again in the future. Like, maybe it's a long time from now. Maybe it's like we're not going to put a ton of money into it. Maybe it's just like one project every decade or something crazy. But like, surely they will revisit the idea of doing Star Wars Prestige TV if it wins a bunch of stuff.
I mean, that's why that's why they're doing House of the Dragon. Like, Game of Thrones did so well, obviously at a grand scale, and House of the Dragon, which is why some people don't like it, which I disagree with. That show's amazing because it's a scaled back political drama in the same world. Like, it is just treating the world with the respect that it deserves, and it's hiring actors and writers that can talk about complex issues through a sci-fi or fantastical setting. Yeah. And that is
good writers.
That's very possible. Yeah. All starts with the writing. So
I googled list of Prestige TV, and like there's lots of interesting ideas in here, like The Sopranos, which I forget about, Mad Men. There's lots of really interesting opportunities here. I think what I dreamed of years ago, when we first found out that Disney was interested in purchasing Star Wars, was that I wanted stories told about the little guy in Star Wars that just happened to take place in a Star Wars world, and I feel like the universe is now finally big enough with TV and movies and everything. The universe is now finally big enough that could work.
And that's what Andor was, basically. I mean, Cassian Andor is a little guy. He was just a guy at a bar looking for his old sister that worked on crappy jobs, owed money to his friends, and shot a couple cops, and then
got sucked into something that he never dreamed.
I think, and in this, I think my kind of overall summary of it is that what makes it work is, yes, the writing, but there's also an element that has gotten co-opted, I think, by some people on the internet, which is going to make this sound dumber than I think it is. But morally gray characters are kind of also important.
Yeah,
and there's,
they are.
That is, I think a lot of Reddit and stuff have taken that to mean like, I can be a douchebag with no consequences. I'm morally gray. It's like, no. Like, Cassian was morally gray because he would do violent things or things that were maybe not thought of as great, but because you see the larger picture of revolution, you understand why he's doing it, which is why I made it's so compelling. And I think the future of these shows, if Leia has to make a decision between saving a planet of people and giving another union a tech deal because she knows it'll get ships for a navy in 5 years, like that kind of horrendous decisions.
There's a lot there. That's a lot.
And we see that disintegrate her and Han's marriage too. Like, what if there's that part of it where they lost a kid and also she's always at work, he wants an adventure? Yeah. Like, what if we see that bit of it? You know, like,
Connor in the chat brings up the idea of like an entire season taking place over a single day, kind of like The Pit. I know you just finished The Pit recently.
Yes!
What if we
Oh
what if we
God.
what if we told the story of Alderaan, that the day that Alderaan was destroyed? That would be interesting.
Hey, you know what? We just recast Bill Organa, didn't we, Corey?
Yeah, we sure did. We sure did. What if we told like about politics on Alderaan? That would be interesting. And everything
every episode begins with like 12 hours till detonation, 10 hours till detonation.
Oh my God, it writes itself.
Wow.
It writes itself. That would be solid.
So you know.
Yes. You know your ending. That's what I was like looking for last time. You
Guys,
know your
is
ending.
That the secret to literally all
I think
Star
it might
Wars?
be.
Is just
It might
know
be.
your ending.
We start at the ending. That's how every tragedy is ever written. Every Shakespearean tragedy is written that way. Like,
yeah,
it's a working formula. Maybe we should do that.
It starts with, "Hey, this is going to be a tragedy. Buckle up." Okay, great, and it doesn't take away the stakes. You know, like we watch Revenge of the Sith knowing Anakin turns into Vader. We know that. Like,
yes.
I love it. Well, let us all know in the comments as you're watching this or listening to this later on, what's your prestige TV show, or did one of us nail it? Let us know that immediately, because I now am going to be so sad when this doesn't happen, but I really want it to. Get for your consideration votes in. If you're a member of the Television Academy, vote for Andor and everything so we can get Tony Gilroy producing all these shows. And finally tonight, everybody, I thought it would be a great time for us to let you all know something personal that we've recently become absolutely obsessed with, and that is Star Wars Unlimited, everyone. This is going to be a little fun end of the show tonight, but before we get into what Corey spent his weekend doing and what I decided to do next month, let me just ask, Corey, after a year of all of us resisting, how is Star Wars Unlimited taken over Youtini so completely in the last 3 weeks? What happened?
It's a good question. I would like to think that I have played somewhat of a part in this. I have noticed, and you tell me if I'm crazy with maybe this is incredibly narcissistic and self-centered thought. Somehow sucking everybody into all of my hobbies is one of my superpowers.
That is one of your hobbies. Yes,
it is one of my hobbies. I have some kind of weird like sense of the right time to jump on to things. I guess
it's called being the head of the company. No, it is
to some degree.
No, there's something about you that when you pick something, I think it's because we all know how intensely you research something. So if you've actually decided to go full in, you've done enough work to know it's worth it.
It's like the last domino to fall for a whole bunch of other people to do. This has happened with so many things on our team. Yeah, it's happening with Star Wars Unlimited. I certainly don't get to take all the credit for this. Oz and Jacob over at the Cosmic Force have sort of been the pathfinders for Star Wars Unlimited. They've been preaching and begging all of us to get on to Star Wars Unlimited for a year.
For a year, yeah,
basically.
definitely.
And we were all like, absolutely not. We are not playing this ridiculously nerdy freaking trading card game that is filled with Pokemon collectors, and we see these horrible
it's Magic and
it's Magic the Gathering, these horrible TikTok videos of these fat nerds stealing all the boxes of Pokemon cards from the kids, and the kids are like crying and stuff, and they're freaking resellers and flippers on eBay, and like it's toxic as shit. Like some of that culture is. I was like, absolutely not. I am not doing this. And I think, Eric, you got into it technically first. I
got the idea first, where I was like, I think I'll start looking into it. Honestly, it was like right after my wedding. Hilariously, I started thinking about it, and then we started chatting in Slack about it. Like, okay, maybe how do we hypothetically start? But then you were the one that actively went out and got us both starter kits.
I said, all right, Eric, if you're in iMan, I'm gonna buy packs today, and you're like, what? So I bought a starter packs of the game, and if you've never heard of Star Wars Unlimited, maybe some kind of
let's do a very basic
intro.
What is it? What is
Star Wars Unlimited is a TCG, it's a trading card game, right? Where you collect a bunch of cards, you build a deck of like 50 cards, and then you play it against somebody else. It's if you've never played any card games before, it's similar to like a normal card game. Like unlike poker, where you like all are using the same deck, right? Each person has their own deck, and they have attacks and defense and health and special moves, and you basically go to war with each other, right? So everybody has a leader and a base, and the object of the game is to destroy the other person's base. And it's a deck building game, meaning you buy packs of cards that have like 20 something cards in the pack.
16 cards per pack if you're just buying packs. Yeah.
You buy a pack for like $4 or $5, and it's got like 16 cards in the pack, and you gradually build a big collection of cards. You build a deck out of it, and then you kind of play against each other. So there's like two sides of the game. There is the actual play side of the game, which is actually trying to defeat your opponent, and there is the sort of collector side of the game. It's like, I want to complete all the cards that I can get so I can build the ultimate deck, basically. Right? That's the premise. However, all that being said, all those things are reasons I wanted nothing to do with the game.
This all seemed way too much. We have enough hobbies. There's
no way. It sounds expensive. It's horrible.
Corey's fantastic wife Kate has said, and I quote so many times, "Oh God, not another hobby."
Yes.
Which I think was her verbatim response when you told her about this.
It was indeed. However, what I learned very quickly is that they sell these little starter packs, and they come with 2 decks, basically. So you and a friend can buy the starter pack, and you both have a deck. You can play against each other, and they're well balanced. So the starter pack
optimized for you just to open and play.
Yep, open and play, which is really nice. And then the next thing that really sealed the deal is I learned that Fantasy Flight Games is who's producing this. Excuse me. They have done a really incredible job of keeping the game really well balanced, and they've done a really great job of controlling the reseller market by producing enough cards to not create scarcity. Which means, in English, it means that you can build basically any deck, like most decks, and be semi-competitive because it's pretty balanced, right?
Yep.
And you can do that for less than $50.
Exactly.
You can buy. You can pick the most.
Yeah,
you can pick the most competitive deck online and literally buy all the individual cards from a website, TCG Player, for like 8 cents a piece, 3 cents, 5 cents, 10 cents. The most expensive card will be like $2 or $3. So you can build the whole deck of 50 cards for less than $50, and have a super competitive deck.
Yeah,
it's great.
Like there are like a few, like the most expensive card in the deck. So if anyone listening or watching has played like Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, Magic the Gathering, because again, all us millennials that grew up in the 90s, 2000s remember the days of the holographic Charizard, the Magic cards that came out that were hundreds of dollars, thousands of dollars for any one card, and you needed to buy that in order to be competitive, because that's how it would work. The more money you spent, the better actual playing cards you could get. And that's how you could get better. Now, there are some cards in Star Wars Unlimited. Like, there's a Luke Skywalker card that is currently thought of as the best actual card, and the base goes for $40. that's the most but that's the most expensive single card you can get. There's foils, there's like limited edition cards.
There is the crazy collector stuff that you put in glass and
skins.
Stuff.
That's just like it doesn't affect how you play. And I think that's what got me into it, was realizing, oh, I don't have to spend thousands of dollars a year to get the newest Magic Ultimate, Commander to become competitive. And then, unfortunately, then it did go off the deep end, and we realized that maybe the most unfortunate part of it that I discovered was that the community that has arisen both in person and online for Star Wars Unlimited is probably the most wholesome card community I've ever experienced.
They're super nice. Everyone just really wants. Yeah, I was going to say, everyone just wants everybody else to play. And like I've been to lots of comics shops and game nights and stuff in the past, and like sometimes card playing nerds can be a little much. A little much from folks. There is certainly more of the extreme end of the nerd spectrum that are into those types of games, and you never know if you're gonna get hit with like a bunch of really nice people, or if you're gonna get hit with waves of BO and people with really poor hygiene. You just never know what you're gonna get. I mean, that's what we'll say.
But it's true. That can be true about anything.
It is. It is like the jokes about Comic-Con. You go in there with Comic-Con, or what is the average percentage of people who are actually wearing deodorant in the room is a running joke, right, of nerd culture. But the community around Star Wars Unlimited is like super wholesome. Everyone's really nice. There is not a toxic sort of collector side to it that's very visible. It is on the internet to a degree, but it's not very visible. And if you go to a game night at your local game shop and they're playing Star Wars Unlimited, everybody's just like, "Oh no, are you new? Here's a whole bunch of free packs." Like,
here's how you play. Like
here's how
the amount of times I sat down with people in my local card shop, not knowing anything, and I played a card. They'd say, "Actually, you might not want to do that because your leader actually has an ability you haven't activated yet. Do you want to try that?" Like, it's very much like we're gonna win if we want to. And there's actual like events and qualifiers, and there's an event that we'll talk about here in a second that do get like monetary prizes, and I'm sure that obviously gets a little more intense. But there really just is a vibe of, even some people aren't even Star Wars fans. Like I play with some guys that say they actually haven't seen a lot of Star Wars stuff, but they think the rules and the balance of the game are so good that they're gonna keep playing Star Wars Unlimited.
I think
this
game seems a easier to get into than, say, Pokemon or Definitely Magic the Gathering. I've seen people play that. That game is very difficult to start out at.
You can mortgage your house for Magic the Gathering.
And this hasn't been around too long, so if you're thinking like, "Oh, I'm gonna be way behind if I start," like this game that hasn't come out, but what, 3-4 years ago, maybe less than that.
Less than that.
Yeah, like 2 years ago.
Old, yeah.
But and they also have it planned out for the next, I think, 4 or 5 years of expansions. Like already in house, they have longevity already planned into it. So like, again, they know their end, not their end, but they have a plan, which I think, and they're constantly balancing. I was talking to one of the guys in my shop about it, and he said a lot of the developers are really involved in the community, so they are balancing the decks that are going to come out in 4 years based on the issues with the meta they're seeing now. So they are constantly acknowledging the fact that they want you to be able to play cards from the first set in 4 years from now. So like you can keep on influencing cards. But one of the coolest parts about it for us Star Wars fans is the accessories. There are play mats you can get with art. There's card sleeves, which Corey and I just bought, and then there's an entirely other separate fan part of the business that Corey got really into, thanks to some patterns. Corey, what did you spend your weekend making?
I have been on a quest. So at Christmas this year, is the reason my wife says, "Oh my God, another freaking hobby," is because I'm always picking up new hobbies. At Christmas this year, I bought a 3D printer, and I got into 3D printing. And man, collector and card game hobbies are the perfect crossover with 3D printing. There is so much shit you can make. I've already printed like deck boxes and little tokens and all kinds of cool little fun stuff I'm just having an absolute blast with. And I've been waiting for a project to get me over the 3D modeling hump in 3D printing world. Like I feel like I feel like there's two kinds of people that get into 3D printing. There's people that start out the gate and they're like, no, I want to make custom stuff. I'm going to learn from day one. I'm going to learn how to use Fusion 360 and how to do like CAD rendering software. I'm going to learn how to use all this stuff, and I'm going to make parts immediately. There's those people, and there's people like me that buy it and then just download other stuff that other people have created and print those things and do that sort of stuff. And like I've been just like really kind of dreading the like amount of like upfront effort it's going to take to learn 3D modeling software. And this was the project that put me over that hump is because over the weekend, I was like, man, I really need a tube to keep my game mat in. It's like this like 2 feet like wide game mat. So you really need a tube to put this in. I was looking at models that people have made. I'm like, hey, this is a tube. A lightsaber is a tube. I wonder if I could like merge two models together. If I take like a lightsaber model and then I take like a tube model, what if I could just squeeze them together and make a lightsaber tube? And long story short, after like 12 hours of fiddling later, I now know how to use Fusion 360.
Yep.
And I've successfully...
You know how Tony Stark is like, when did you become a rocket scientist last night? That was Corey learning of physical engineering, mechanical engineering.
I know. Yes. So I basically learned how to do rendering software and how to get from nothing to like a final product. And I built a Darth Vader like tube holder, and I built a Rey lightsaber tube holder that I haven't printed. Oh, I have it behind me actually. Hold on. Here it is.
Yep.
Look, it's Darth Vader's lightsaber.
No, did you?
And you can put a battle mat because it unscrews, right?
Yeah. Like it unscrews. Yeah, here you go. It unscrews, and it's got a playmat in it, right? There it is. There's the playmat. It's all rolled up. And it's freaking Darth Vader's lightsaber. And the colors are off, but the prototype works. And like this is the first thing I've ever originally designed. Yes, I didn't originally design every single piece of it, right? I took existing models and merged them together. But it's the hump that I needed to get over.
Yeah.
And now I feel like I can do it. Interestingly, as I was fiddling around with this, it all came back to me. I forgot that I actually built my entire trailer project. Remember that hobby that I had?
Yeah.
I actually built my entire trailer project in Fusion 360. I forgot that I did that years ago. So literally, as soon as I opened it up, I was like, oh yeah, I kind of know how to use this software a little bit already. And it worked, but I'm having an absolute blast with that. Yeah. And it is a slippery slope. I'm currently on a quest to create the best deck box. I'm trying to build an interesting deck box to hold my deck in, which is really fun.
Yeah. And I'll be asking Corey to give me a lightsaber here soon for my battle mat, because I will be putting it in a suitcase, because I did not learn 3D printing. But I did impulse buy a plane ticket to Las Vegas for next month, because while Corey was deciding I'm going to learn how to create stuff, I said I'm going to go to Las Vegas for the first time in my life to the Galactic Championships of Star Wars Unlimited, which are being held at the Venetian Hotel next July.
Why are you going to Vegas, Eric? Are you gonna play cards? You gonna play poker? No, I'm going to do some nerd shit.
Do some nerd shit. I'm
very on brand.
I am joining a bunch of Youtini friends, including our friends Oz, Tyler, Michael Fry, who's in our community, and then as of this week, our buddies JG and Jacob will be going to this national event where basically all the best Star Wars Unlimited players are going. And I'm not going to play in the main event, which is like a main tournament for all of the players throughout the country, and the better you do, the more rewards you get. But I'll be doing a bunch of side events, and for 3 days, I'll be hanging out in Las Vegas, playing Star Wars Unlimited with like the one deck I know how to use, but also a couple that I'll borrow. And there's like exclusive mats and cards you can get, and there's panels. And basically within the last month, we have gotten into this game, decided to get some extra cards, bought binders to organize everything. And then after enough peer pressure, including my wife, who said, you need to go, you will have so much fun.
My wife.
You got it. You got to marry up, everybody. It really goes well. But yeah, I'm going to Las Vegas in a month to go play Star Wars Unlimited with a bunch of friends some of which I've never met in person, for 3 days.
It's really fun.
Not what I expected as of a month and a half ago.
No, I don't. I don't even think I'm. I think I'm just over like $100 in. I don't think I have that much.
Oh yeah, I've spent almost. I way like quintupled my money just buying a plane ticket and a ticket to this convention. Honestly,
yeah, right,
like
right.
It's really consumer friendly to start up. And Corey and I are gonna hit. There's a new set coming out next month. This is now where we get into the promo bit.
Next week, bro.
Next week. Oh my God! Next week is July.
It's next
totally
week.
Right.
Yes.
Legends of the Force is the new set that's coming up. And Allison in our chat actually asked, they're basically negating power creep, which means that each new set is more powerful than the last ones. Yes, many cards from the first set are still used in decks. You can mix and match all you want. But the next set coming out, for all of our listeners that may be interested, we're getting High Republic characters. Avar Kriss is going to be a leader. Markion Ro, the Nameless, the Legacy Run, Vernestra Ro are all being added because the next set is Jedi focused. They're adding a Force ability. That's a new. Every set they usually add like a new ability. Like there was a smuggling ability that got added in one for Mandalorian stuff. There's a piloting ability in the most recent one that is very
bounties
ship-based.
were added.
Bounties. This new one is all about Force tokens. So the light and dark side of the Force you can use. So
that's gonna be interesting. It's a good time to jump on too.
It's great, yeah.
The local game stores, they do these little pre-release events, is what they call them, and you can basically go. You have to register ahead of time usually. So check out your local game store and see if they're having an event for this sometime next week. It's a holiday week too, with it being the 4th of July next weekend. So a good weekend to do it. You might have some time off from work or something. But for a pre-release event, you can register and pay like $30, and they give you like a kind of a starter box. That's not
a pre-release box officially. Yeah. So it's 2 liters, and then you get 6 packs. And also our game store that we went to last week, a lot of them still have old pre-release boxes. So if you want to see what that's like, go and pick one of those up. But
for pretty cheap, you can go and get a whole bunch of free cards, and then nobody knows what the cards are going to really do. They have released some of a lot of the details about the cards, but everyone just plays each other, and it's fun.
Yeah, and here's the other bit of it, which makes it, again, so accessible. At Youtini, we've always been about accessibility, about making things easier to read the books, easier to follow the films. This hobby has so many online resources. There's a site called Force Table, which has all the decks you can get from the online databases and play them against AI if you want. There's also sites called Karabast and Petranki that are like, you can play any deck you can find online that people make a link for. You can just play it against people for free online like you would any browser game if you're a millennial and remember Flash games back in the day. Just play it in your browser, try it out, and then a lot of them have links like, oh, cool, now you can buy this entire deck on a site. Like, everything is so integrated because nerds love technology. And the nerds in this hobby have found ways to try a deck out, play it a bunch, click a button, buy it, play it in real life.
Yeah, the AI
it's very
tool,
consuming, y'all.
The AI opponent that you play on Force Table, you don't actually have to know how to play what each of them does because it'll tell you how some of the points are derived when you play. And I must have played a dozen matches yesterday. It helped me learn. It helped me strategize and know kind of what I was doing, why I was getting beat, kind of stuff like that. Right. But it did help me learn. But Corey and Eric were so gracious last week after we got off from the live show, and Corey and Eric taught me some of the basics, like for probably 45 minutes, and we went through, and it helped out a ton. So if you have somebody that knows how to play, that's probably your best bet to give you you can ask some of the really tough questions, like what's a resource card, like I did. But I am actually, I'm 90% sure I'm going to a tournament this Saturday at one of our local game stores, and we're gonna check it out. Yeah. We're just gonna watch these guys play. We're not gonna get in there because I'm gonna be destroyed. But like you said, I want to ask. I'll probably ask a couple questions like, hey, why did you play that? Why did you not play this? I might leave them alone. They might get mad at me. I don't know. But they serve drinks.
Deodorant check.
They serve drinks there, so I mean we might have.
It'll be chill.
Yeah,
it'll be chill.
It'll be
if
really
they have have you bought a starter box yet? Have you and your friends bought starter boxes yet?
I have. I bought the
heck yes.
Rebellion.
Oh, Spark Rebellion's a solid one.
Again, set one. I'll use in many things.
One. Yeah, the deck I just built uses a lot of those.
I have not opened the cards at all. I've been just using the AI tool for now. But Bethany asked about it yesterday, and I was like, well, we're going to sit down at the dinner table and not eat. We're going to play this game.
Oh, perfect. So, fun. It's really fun.
I don't know all the rules, but it's fun to just to get started, to kind of go through the rule book, and then I think I'll learn a little bit more as when I'm trying to teach somebody else. So I think it's going to be fun, especially because it's not a video game. It's not that this is like a conversation piece too to have with friends too as well.
It is
easy to learn, hard to master. Like there's like I know the mechanics and how they work and stuff, and yet I will go and play against guys in my local shop who like have paid the money for the very expensive pretty cards and stuff, and I will just get demolished because they plan 7 turns ahead and do all this kind of stuff. But that's what's fun. I think that's what makes a game viable, is that you can play pretty quickly, but if you really want to build a good deck, you get rewarded for it because you can actually do a lot of cool stuff. So
it's fun.
We're big fans.
And funny enough, I have played with Caitlin about 4 times now. Yeah. And she's like, all right, I don't hate this game.
Yes.
I think I was just thinking about this today. Like, there's not a lot of stuff that makes me think strategically. Like at work, it's just mundane shit that I do all day long. But there is some critical thinking that's been going on, but nothing that's this new to where I'm just like, man, why would I play this card over this card or something like that? There's a lot of critical thinking that I think is like kind of going out the window now with AI and ChatGPT and all the other stuff, Corey. So so I think this is actually a helpful tool for you to use your brain a little bit more. Get creative with how you want to put these cards together. Just put like strategy together.
Also, to be clear, when we say you play against AI, you're playing against it's like a computer chess opponent. Yeah. It's not asking you for like, hi, what do you think about this day? It's just a computer opponent instead of a person.
Yeah, computer opponent. Sorry, yeah.
We used to just be able to say that.
You could.
But it is AI.
A computer player. You could just say it's the AI, but now that means something different.
Yeah, you play against a computer instead of a person. So
it's ChatGPT. It's gonna ask you questions about your mental health while you play.
That's it. It goes down or high, depending. But yeah, so thank you all for letting us let you know about what's going on. Again, in these weeks where there's a little less Star Wars news going on, this has been a really lovely kind of booster, because as you go through the cards and like you organize them, there's so much art from so many things, and there's not like, oh, all the cards from this show are better than the cards from this movie. Like, they're very balanced and let you remember just every piece of Star Wars that you love. So it's kind of a nice little wholesome bit as you go on. So go to your local card shop. Don't buy them off Amazon or whatever. Like, go to your local shop. They're gonna have packs. Ask some people. Ask them about their local night. It's gonna be great, and we'll keep you posted on how our pre-release events go. We're going next week again. One of my jobs for tomorrow is figure out where me and Corey are gonna go next week. So we will tell you afterwards, so we don't dox ourselves on the internet. And that'll be great. So, oh my goodness, I'm getting a yearning to go play. Maybe we'll do that after we get off the show, because everybody, that is gonna do it for this week's episode of the Youtini Show. Thanks so much for hanging out with us as always. We love talking Star Wars every week with y'all. Make sure you head over to youtini.com for the latest and everything going on in Star Wars. We got our comic reviews on Wednesdays and everything going on. But until next week, have fun, stay safe, buy some starter packs, and as always, may the Force be with you.